Hey, True Believers England team here. So the Marvels trailer drops. We can't show any of it because I messed up at the Oscars. So we have a strike we have to wait for to come off before I take any risks with copywritten materials. But we do want to talk about it here with Dalton, the Authenticator.
Hi, folks.
Okay, so you said, hey, you want to talk about this. So obviously you have strong thoughts on it. Overall, we'll talk about what we've seen. I've got the trailer open so we could even go through it if we want. But I liked it. I was watching it. I'm like, oh, wow, that looks fun. So what are your thoughts? What are your extreme takes on this?
This is probably going to be Marvel's Birds of Prey, or Marvel's
Really?
equivalent to Birds of Prey.
Okay, so you think this one's going to be really not just a bomb, but this is going to suck.
I suspect so. I there's just too many disparate elements, none of which really work well together, and various different reasons why the fan base doesn't either, apathetically doesn't care about what is going on, or actively disdains to care what's going on. And I think this is going to be vindication for the likes of us. Remember when the first Captain Marvel came out and we were like, this is likely going to bomb because all the reasons that it obviously should have. But
Yeah.
it was saved by the fact that it came out between Infinity War and Endgame, and they kept marketing it as though it was going to be meaningful and important to Endgame. Well, in the absence of a massive event like that, this is basically going to be a judgment of how much people actually like or care about Brie
But
Larson's Captain Marvel,
it's
and
more than
also,
just Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
yeah, I know, but how much of a saving grace do you expect Monica and Kamala to be? Because here's the other thing: even though people prefer Monica well and truly over Carol Danvers, there's a lot of people who are still mad at her over two things. Thing one, she let Wanda off the hook in WandaVision rather than going after her General Ross style. And thing two, she was instrumental in the pissing all over fan theories over the Evan Peters thing with the boner joke that will never leave my head.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I don't think that they are the problem. And if you notice during the preview, they show Brie Larson, but except for they don't really give her much to say in the trailer.
Yeah, it's very obvious they knew upon which side this bread was buttered, but even so, whether you liked Miss Marvel the show or not, there were a lot of writing problems with it, and not a lot of people showed up to watch it in the first place. So
I enjoyed it. I like the Ms. Marvel TV show. It was fun, entertaining.
Which is why I added the modifier there.
It was I thought it was just irreverent. I thought it was its own thing up until the very end where she's thrust into the Marvels. Ms. Marvel existed in her own story. It wasn't
little pocket of
it was
thing.
Exactly what we need Marvel movies to be, because it acknowledged the outside world without bringing it into that world. And so I gotta admit I had a great time with the TV show, and I like the fact that a lot of the humor, unfortunately, I see on Twitter already people are going after the humor, but a lot of the humor, as far as dialogue is concerned, is coming from Kamala Khan and not the other characters. There is some slapstick beyond that. Of course, Carol Danvers being thrown around because she's popping in and out. For those of you who haven't seen it, spoiling the trailer, turns out that all of their powers are intertwined. So when they're in the same area or something, or when they use the powers for some reason, they kind of shift. So it looks like if she used her power, Ms. Marvel used her powers, so her and Carol Danvers switched
Swap
places. And that seems to be where the thrust of the story plus a lot of the humor comes from.
While we're here, let me just address that, because
Oh, hey Ash, how's it going?
everyone who's a fan of these channels knows me well enough to know that my niche is the mystical slash cosmic niche. That this is my sort of area of expertise, and I can't figure out for the life of me, even having watched Miss Marvel and WandaVision and unfortunately Captain Marvel, having done all the necessary legwork to presumably get this, I'm still sitting there going, comics aren't helping me here. The stuff that they've set up in the MCU itself isn't helping me here. What the actual hell is going on? And if I, the die-hard fan of all things, cosmic and mystical within the superhero space, am confused and befuddled and thinking it's nonsensical, how the hell are they going to sell this to normies, fans of other parts of the various superhero universes, or just casual moviegoers? Like,
I think it might work in your disservice, because you're looking for the story. You're looking for something you've already experienced. Gail watched.
No, I'm looking for the how the hell does this work mechanically is what I'm looking for, and
Yeah,
I'm not.
let the story take you, man. Seriously, I for one
I need something logical to sink my teeth into, or otherwise I
well,
shut down. So I
one
need
thing,
to understand at least the broad strokes of how the mechanics work here.
This is a 1.5-minute teaser trailer, so that's not the full trailer. It's not a story trailer, but you get an idea of what's going on. The story starts out, the trailer starts out, we see Nick Fury. He's in Saber's watchtower, and we see Monica Rambeau kind of blown in, like, not that she's transported to a planet of some sorts, and person in a spacesuit is flying towards Nick Fury. He's like, Monica? And it's Kamala Khan. She's screaming, and she goes, oh, you're Nick Fury. Hi. And, is this an Avengers test? Which, once again, the humor seems to bother people. It's Marvel. Marvel has these jokes all over the place, whether you like them or not. But
it's not that they're jokes all over the place. It's that most of the jokes, at least in the context of the trailer, which, again, trailers edit things, so asterisk, but at least in the context of the trailers, the humor came off as more annoying than it did funny to me.
Okay, well, yeah, I had no problem with it. It was okay. I discovered what it was about, and I was like, okay, so a lot of the humor is going to come from them finding themselves in situations they shouldn't be. Plus, Kamala Khan is not a astronaut or jet fighter.
Superhero.
Yeah, she's a little girl who found herself with superpowers and ended up in a superhero battle at the end of her TV show. So it's a lot different. She's a lot different character thrown in here. And I have a
smartly,
feeling,
I think they're having Captain Marvel play the straight woman, because the woman just doesn't have facial expressions to save her life.
She's not that kind of actress, and that's why I thought
so
the Captain Marvel movie was bad. They kept saying in the Captain Marvel movie that
you're overly expressive and overly emotional.
She's not. She's just
she's
a good actress, but she does a lot of her acting with her eyes, and as far as expression is concerned and such. So and
the character is perpetually angry anyway, at least how they've written her. So having her be the straight man and be annoyed at all the shenanigans, that at least could work. She's still not likable though, so that's
I don't know. We haven't seen enough yet. She does seem to be a little bit more lighthearted just from the small things we've seen. I'll tell you what, they finally gave her a suit she looks good in. At least that.
Yeah, they helped. It helped the design a lot, even though that apparently ticked off Brie Larson that she was forced into the state of being eye candy.
Well, scar yourself. I'm sorry, but let's say what you will about her acting ability. I think she's a good actress. I just think she wasn't good for Captain Marvel. But she's an attractive woman. If she doesn't want to be eye candy, she's got to do something about the face. blimp out.
Well,
Whatever.
the reasoning is always the stock standard feminist, ooh,
Oh yeah,
when
it's
men look
the
at me,
male
it
gaze and
victimizes
all
me,
that.
yada, 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 bullshit.
But the thing is it's that's a ridiculous. The male gaze is one of the dumbest phrases ever. Put
Yeah, no,
upon
it's beyond
because at
stupid.
one point in time, it was chubby chicks. There's a whole bunch of art that shows, hey, we like this, and now we like that, and now we like that. If you change your body to fit the male gaze, and all women all at once did this, the male gaze would shift to whatever that was. I'm sorry, men like women, women like men. It's just the way it is.
Well, in
That's a
theory,
horrible,
anyway.
horrible thing. Well, obviously, there is exception, as I am talking to one, but the thing is
Well, I
at the
I
very
just meant
least,
all the misandrist women who like ideologically despise men on a visceral standpoint. I wasn't even thinking of sexuality at that moment. I was thinking of all the misandric women, but never mind. And the fact that they've actually done studies that suggest while men have an outgroup preference, i.e., they would rather spend time with women, women actually tend to have an in-group preference and would rather spend time with other women rather than men, because a lot of women see men as a means to an end rather than an end in itself.
right.
Which is disparaging, but that gets off into men's rightsville, and it's
Yeah.
far beyond the scope of this particular live stream.
I know, but okay, so it's basically it's going to be kind of a farcical thing. This movie looks to be. I for one, like I said, I watched the trailer. I said this looks fun, and it does. It looks like it is a good time to be had. I'm hoping I'm right, but this is a teaser trailer. Whether or not it ends up being Captain Marvel 2, then I'll be wrong and I'll admit it. But yeah, so far it looks good.
See, I felt like most of the humor didn't land, so that wasn't working for me. And I honestly think that, especially given how divisive the first one was, cooling it with the humor for a movie or two wouldn't have killed them, and it might have given people something to grab onto with regards to Captain Marvel's character, to actually see her go through A, some emotions, and B, possibly some suffering.
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem with her is that she is, both the character and apparently also the actress, are unnecessarily confrontational to a fault.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like she does have to get over that. They should write her as a person rather than a caricature. I do have to say, and I want to move forward a little bit into the trailer. There is the cat, the Flurkin or Flurkin? Flurkin. Okay, apparently there's going to be more than one. I actually liked the scene. I expected it. I actually saw it coming, where she's like, oh, and because she sees a cat in space, and then it with the tentacles, and she starts screaming. I like that scene, but also it seems like there's a scene where there's just a hell of a lot of them. And I was like, okay, so what's going on here? I wasn't exactly a fan of the Flurkin in the Captain Marvel movie, but I'm wondering how much of me not being a fan of anything in the Captain Marvel movie is because it was in that fucking movie, and that movie was really bad.
R.I.P. the serious dramatic moment from Winter Soldier, though, with Nick Fury's eye, because no one is ever taking that seriously again.
Last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. It's a cat. Yeah.
It's a random space cat that, for plot convenience's sake, didn't like you for whatever reason.
Yeah, that was weird, but it made me interested. It made me I want to see this movie. I see. Like I said, I looked on Twitter and I see everybody's doing the same old thing. That's why I titled this the way it is. The Marvels is doomed, dead, maybe constipated. Whatever. It's just one thing it will be. It at least will be horrible. It's the MCU returns. I've seen everything. It's in
I think regardless of people's reaction to the actual content of the movie, it's probably not going to do well financially, because you've got two characters from shows that people either didn't like or don't really have much of a feeling for one way or the other. And then you've got Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, who this time is standing on her own without the shadow of a big,
Yeah, you are
generation
making a good
changing
point. You
movie
are
to
making a good point.
buoy her up.
Let me check out the results of the poll I put up, and so far looks bad is the highest with 57%. So people are more on your side than my side. 14% actually is the low vote, which is good, which is I actually said I thought the movie looked good. So not a lot of people are agreeing with me. 29%.
So they either actively think it's bad or don't know which side they fall on.
Yeah, it was. Well, let me get those numbers again. 57% of the votes. No, well, there's only 7 votes, so we can take it the way you want. But and 29 were mid, and then just 14 were good. So there you go. All right, kids. There you go. That's our take on, I guess, not just the trailer, but Phase 4. Let us know what you think as we post this up. It's always nice to get some comments after the fact because it does help the algorithm. A lot of videos. I've actually broken down a lot of our longer videos into shorter videos. I'm going to be putting those out now. It's just the way it is. Some people jump on and late, or they only watch 25 minutes of a 3-hour video. So I figured let's get that out there. So
and come join us later tonight at 10 o'clock over on I Love Comics to watch us play the Marvel Universe role-playing game that we've been playing for a couple of weeks.
All righty. Just a little teaser. We will be going up against Electro. So lots of fun. All righty, kids. Thank you very much for hanging out. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night. Day. We're on day right here. Yes, day.
Have a